All right, man. So today's our very first show podcast that we offer. Special guest we have here, good friend of mine. I've been knowing him for about, I don't know, 3 to 4.5 years. His story will shock people. The way he brings his vibe to the table, his work ethic to the table, is people learn from him, right? Over the years, he's involved. People may not know him, but at the end of the day, he's a great photo guy that has done black and white pictures, and he took that to a different level. Sometimes you have to go old school, right? So for a first guest, Mr. Freeman, it's funny how when I met you, you were quiet, shy. I didn't really didn't realize what you were going through it in life.
Yeah.
And this is why we're here to talk about it, because out there it can be a story that you may not see that person go through it, but he makes it look so good that he learned from it and he moved on and he learned from the mistakes. Sometimes mistakes will make you a better version in life, right? My thing to you is, why are you here?
Yeah. So like Gio said, met me at a pretty weird point in my life. Maybe not so weird is the right way, but a transition in my life. I had just gotten out of the Army. Okay. I was in since I was 17, got out when I was 25. So realistically, that's all I kind of knew about the adult world, right? That I had some struggles as well during that, after that. And, that led me to drinking, struggles with drinking. I started drinking pretty young and kind of kept that sailing all the way through. And, got to a certain point where it took way more from me than I took from it. And I couldn't find myself out of that trap. When I had walked into the gym, actually, when I'd met you, is I was about 1.5 years alcohol free at that point, right? And I can't lie, I was struggling that week, man.
You know what's funny? I don't want to cut you off.
No,
but this is what makes me. This is the point we're here. When I first met this dude, he looked like a regular guy. Regular guy with tattoos, just want to come to the gym, work out. And I remember this day when he walked in there, right? It was me and my kids were working. I was late. And he walks in there, he goes, "Hey, my name is Matthew. I'm here to join the gym, blah, blah, blah." I said, "All right, bro." Mind you, in my eyes, he's a typical guy, typical member that's going to come in. In this boxing gyms or community, you get guys that really come in and work out. And you got guys that BS. They just come, "Oh, I'll be there." And then, again, my mind, I look at him I don't really know this dude. I don't know nothing. So he could "I'll be here tomorrow." I said, "All right, bro." Shook hands. We left it. So I'm thinking to myself, he ain't gonna show up. Now, that was my first opinion for him. The next day, I'm training. Here comes Matthew with a bag ready to go. And mind you, look what he just said. He was going through it.
Yeah.
At the time and place, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
What got me thinking is what you said, what you told me.
And so it was that day, right? It's exactly how I remembered, exactly like that. Like I said, I was struggling with it, and I'd lived around the corner from the gym that Gio was training at the time, and I drove by, told myself I was going to stop in, just had never, and it was one of those, I just pulled the car in real quick that moment, just fucking pulled over. Yeah, oh yeah. And that's the conversation we had. And like I said, at that point, the conversations in my head were, why am I still doing this? So, I'm a different person. It's been 1.5 years. I can drink again. I can handle this. all those things that you say to yourself when you have those issues, right? Come back, because it's always lying to you. You're always trying, that lion's trying to escape that cage every time, And Gio told me that day, same thing. He was like, it's a family in here, man. And that's when I said, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. And like I said, 4 years later, I haven't left. And I'm glad I haven't, man. Like I said, it was a rough transition for me. It was a weird point. And like I said, it was a time I was slipping, and boxing as a whole, and the people, that I met, Anthony, all the guys that have been there from the beginning, Beans was around there as well. It's all that held that together and reinforced the reason I'm sober, the reasons I'm doing things and stuff, and gave me more to look forward to. You know what I mean? Like I said, for me, I enjoyed my time in the military as well. And, I always enjoyed those times with your platoon, those times with your friends and stuff. And I get that shit again. You know what I mean? I get to work with these guys. I get that challenge. I get that same feeling here with these guys.
So let me ask you a question. So you brought up the situation that when you first met the gym and us, you were going through it. Mm-hmm. What made you say enough is enough? Because a lot of people, and this is why I'm going to share a story. a lot of people are dealing with this. This is real. This is not a joke.
Yeah.
I met people that this will take over. When this issue takes over, it can be alcohol, it can be drugs, whatever it is. It takes over. It's hard. Some loved ones you lose, family, and the list goes on, right? So by you saying this to the people, what made you say enough is enough?
It, like I said, for me, one of the biggest things, and someone had asked me this the other day. They're like, man, after this long, like, how do you stay sober? How do you do this when people are around you drinking? How do you do this? Because I'll still go out and hang out with people. I go to the bar. I don't have issues with that. And I told them, and I said, it's actually easy at this point because I hate that fucking person I hate that person. I hate who I became. I hate how I treated people. I hate how I treated myself. I had no respect for myself. If I did, I wouldn't have operated that way. I wouldn't have operated like that with the people around me, things like that. And this is all stuff I had to realize, once it was pretty deeper into sobriety, you look back and you realize, like, fuck, man, this is pretty wild. So, like I said, at that point, it's just, I realized enough was enough. I just couldn't keep going doing that. And it was strange enough, religious or not, think what you will or not. But, I had a point on the last weekend I was drinking, the last time it really got that I had to quit it till it was enough, and the last time I ever took a drink, that I just had this like overwhelming voice in my head that said, like, all the shit you've ever gotten lucky for is done. Like, this is the final time you'll ever get lucky again. And I mean, like, I'll put it to you this way. Like, I had a full tank of gas on my Harley that weekend, and I had an empty tank that morning when I woke up, and I don't remember any of it. So that type of shit, that type of behavior was how my life was. You know what I mean? So not in a good spot.
And mind you, as a coach, as a person, as a father, you don't know these kids' stories. You don't know what goes in their mind, their setup. I look at Matthew like a regular guy that shows up every day. During that time, he was coming in every day. He was learning. Matter of fact, I'm gonna share a story. There was one time that he sparred Anthony. You remember that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I told him, we were working on the whole week. We worked on it. Dude, keep your hands up. Dude, keep your hands up. And he didn't understand where I was coming from. I said, you'll learn. It's process. It's a process. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's the process. So he sparred Anthony. I don't want to share too much. That's his.
Oh no,
whatever stays sparring. But now he wasn't let out. So Anthony caught him with the hook, right? Well, correct.
Yeah.
And he fell.
Yeah.
And it was so funny because he fell, and he got up in seconds. Right then and then, I realized that it was for him. Your average person will fall, and he was like, "Nah, I'm cool." This dude got up, and his pressure is to a next level and started attacking. After the sparring, he goes, "Hey, coach, what's up?" He goes, "Bro, thank you, bro." I'm like, "What?" He goes, like, I knew it. And I said, "Bro, sometimes you need to get burned to get on the point, right?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he learned ever since that day. He learned how to do it. And look what he's become. Not just that, like, people forget. During that time he's talking about, I had no idea that he was going through it. Yeah. He showed up every day with a smile. He showed up every day helping the group. He showed up every day as a member. In my eyes, he's not a member. In my eyes, like family to me, to be honest with you. But he showed up every day, and I didn't even know. I never knew that when he left, there was something going on in him. I think at the time he had a BMW, right? Am I not
mistaken? Yeah, I did.
He had a BMW, a Harley. So I'm thinking to myself, dude, this guy is young, just left the army. He got a BMW, he has a Harley. Like, dude, he has a girlfriend. We're like, dude, the guy's living his life. Yeah. Mind you, I didn't know he was going through it. Yeah. What made you go and tell me? Because I remember you came up to me and told me, "Hey, coach, can I talk to you?" I said, "Yeah." And then you said to me, and I want you to explain what you said.
Like I said, I think it became firstly about like quitting alcohol, right? I didn't realize how much like soul searching is involved with that, right? How much like finding yourself and stuff is really the true, like, realistically the hard fucking part about it, right? And at that point, I think I was just so involved at the point where I was just trying to be honest with myself about everything because I hadn't been my whole life. You know what I mean? realistically had been running from my emotions, whether I knew it or not, and using alcohol.
Right. It's hard.
Oh,
it's hard. It's hard to have that vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to admit now. You know what I mean? But like I said, this is all stuff, hindsight, right? And stuff that I've learned saying that, like, you know, I'll recover out loud. So like you said, someone who's watching this, you know what I mean? You can see what I'm feeling. You know what I mean? You can spark your journey, whatever it may be. But like I said, I think I was at a time where I was just trying to be open and honest. And I think it helped me as well feel more comfortable with my situation, because when I first realized like I had a fucking problem with drinking and things were not going my way, I was getting in a lot of issues with my drinking and stuff. It still took me a good like 3 years to quit drinking. Like Gio said with the story with sparring, right? Like I got to fucking touch the stove a couple times to know it's hot.
It's
like,
life, right?
I got to. That's just been me since I was a kid. Like I got to learn the hard way twice, and then I know. And like I said, I finally learned the hard way off that. But I think that day it was probably, like I said, just probably feeling the most vulnerable. And like you said, at that point, you don't know what someone's going through going home, right? And I think for me, as hard as that shit was, because they did not take it easy on me whatsoever. They like integrated right in, and it was like, all right, motherfucker, let's go. So it was shitty showing up some days. I can't lie.
And mind you, he asked for it.
Yeah,
I would never push nobody.
No, absolutely.
You know, he said, "Coach, just do it." I said, "Are you sure?"
Yep.
Yeah. We'll make it happen. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And that's how you know what I mean? Like I said, I was at a point in my life where I needed that type of coaching, that type of life again, right? That's that structure I needed again, right? And yeah, like I said, I think it was just at that point where I was just trying to let my emotions be my emotions, stop running from them, and, you know, started having conversations more like this.
So what was the day that you decided to open up your story? Because again, during that time, I knew Matthew from the guy that walks in that door, works out, spars, make jokes, we're done, hour session goes by, kisses stuff and leaves. So you really don't really focus on that person when he's leaving because you got other kids to worry about or you know, things in life, right? When do you decided, hey coach, can I talk to you? I have a story to tell you. And when he told me, it made me realize that, again, I'm learning from him too. I'm more than a coach. Yeah. I'm more than a friend. I'm more than what people may say, because a lot of people look at me like, oh, he's this, he's that. But the people that know me know that my heart is big. Sometimes my heart will give me hurt, but at the end of the day, I want to change that because that's me. And when he told me his story, I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I never showed the story. I got a tear in my eye because, again, typical guy shows up, has everything going to himself. Never one time in my head did I realize that he was going through it. But I want you to answer that question.
Yeah, so I think, you know, realistically, it was a big moment that way for me as well. Because I was at a point, like I said, where I was really trying to find myself, not just as, you know, sober Matthew, but also as Matthew without the army, also with Matthew in a normal job setting, you know, and also Matthew without friends, without, you know, a platoon of support, of things like that, you know what I mean? And especially, like I said, alcohol had destroyed who I was at the core, you know what I mean? So realistically, I had to build who I was. And at that point, I was still, like I said, really guarded to people I had around me, right? Still really, I think at that time I was starting to realize from a couple of events that happened. And one of them was I showed up on a Saturday morning, you know, unlocked the gym, it was really early, right? Just came in there by myself just to try to not look as fucking stupid as I could on Monday, right? Just get some extra work on. And I didn't know anyone was going to be in there. And Gio walked in with, I think just Weddle. And he was like, all right, man, get ready. We're going to run mitts. And I was like, oh, what? And he was like, yeah, man, if we're in here, we're working. And, you know, other gyms I had been to, other gyms I'd visited, you know, it's like, you're paying extra for mitts. You're doing all this. You don't get extra time, you know, especially not with head. So to me, I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, he's really about this here. He's not about his money. He's not saying, oh, well, you know, if you pay me a little bit extra, let's work some extra. Like, it was on like just pure love of the game. And so, and that was like the first where I was like, damn, okay, like he said family, and like this is feeling a little different, you know? And then more things like that kept happening. Like I said, me and Anthony would end up just, showing up early. He would show up with me and spar with me early in the mornings, you know what I mean? Just me and him, just teaching me different things. And like after that, we'd just sit down and talk, you know what I mean? Just about our day, just started just going into different parts of our life. And that's, like I said, when I realized like, I can really trust these guys. These guys are different. These guys do care. These guys are here to see me do better. These guys feel, like I said, like that platoon I'm used to. They feel like that energy I'm used to. And I think at that point I was finally ready to tell my story. And funny story on that, the same thing, right? The same thing you're saying is, so when I was first getting sober, so before I met you guys, I had gone to an AA meeting, right? And so after class, the main guy comes up and talks to me and he goes, hey man, like, are you here for yourself or someone else? And I was like, no, man, I'm here for me. And he goes, oh, well, like, no disrespect or anything like that. You just seem like, you're fit. You're like well put together. Like, so like, what's up? And I looked at him, I go, well, I don't remember the last 10 fucking days of my life. So does that count? And he goes, yeah. And I go, right. I think I'm in the right place, man.
This is why I respect Matthew. And I don't think you remember this, or maybe you do. I'm going to tell you a story. So when he shared his story and he told me, he goes, Coach, that day when I met you and I met your boys, that vibe you brought, it just changed me who I was. And at first I was like, this guy's full of shit, right? Like in my eye, like, bro, what are you talking about, right? This guy's, I'll be like, what are you? And then, again, I'm not reading him. He's there just like, and his eyes are watery, like he's shaking. He's telling me this. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? And then he told me the story. And I was like, wow. And this is where I realized that don't judge the book by its cover. Like he just said right now that he went to the guy, and the guy was like, look, what are you doing here? Like, you're a regular guy.
Yeah.
And he's telling you, no, bro, I don't remember what happened 10 years ago, or whatever, or 10 days ago, right? Because people don't understand. When you going through things like that, it's hard. And the bad thing about it, you always go back and saying, oh, this is the last time I do it. And that never ends. Tomorrow I'll finish. Tomorrow I'll be over. When you hang around with the bad crowd, when you, an old man once said, and I stand by this.
Yeah, I love this.
He said, when you're an addict, it's like going to the barber shop and you said, I'm not gonna get a haircut. Sooner or later, you're gonna get a haircut.
You're gonna get that haircut.
Same thing with addictions. If you're around those people, sooner or later, hey bro, yeah, why not? It ain't gonna hurt me. That becomes two, that becomes more. By the time you realize you're lost.
Yeah.
And the key here is when you're lost, some people never come back. And this is why I'm sharing his story, because he pulled negativity into a stage, this stage into positive. Today, the people that know Matthew will look back and be like, dude, you got your own little camera going, you got your thing going. Not just that, he's a better talker. He's outgoing. The dude is just out, you know what I mean? But now that we learn what's going on, what made you go and say, you know what? It's time for me to take the camera and start shooting.
Weirdly enough, it actually didn't start as like any kind of spiritual journey that it's turned into. It started with riding Harleys. I would get to a point and I would like take a picture of my phone, like some beautiful view, and it always looked like shit. And I was like, why? So I ended up Googling why, and I like figured out it was like focal lengths, and then I just went down this rabbit hole. Like my addict mind just jumped straight down that. Now, with that, it's just, I've never been into photos that are like, I don't like taking pictures of like models and bullshit like that, like wedding pictures and stuff. I think that's kind of garbage, you know what I mean? I like, Life magazine, showing human presence, right? History, things like that, passion, right? So for me, I just started shooting the most passion I saw, which was these fighters, these kids who are showing up every single day, these kids who are in there bleeding, these kids who are, cutting weight and they're fucking 13 years old, you know what I mean? Who are really about it. And so I just started letting that just show through the camera and realistically just being a fly on the wall. And amazing thing about it is that you gave me that platform and that confidence, that opportunity to go like, yeah, fucking send it, bro. Get up there and just start ripping it. And, it was that, I think that's what accelerated a lot of like my progress. A lot of things like that was, like I said, just such an open opportunity. Gio just wants everyone to succeed in like every way possible. That, like I said, even in my just random camera endeavor that really realistically started nothing to do with boxing, he was like, bro, you're doing it, send it, come here, let's try this. And like I said, that just evolved from there, and that's just how we grow in here.
And this is the thing about this, right? We all have ideas. We all can sit down and be like, man, I can be on my phone playing around and I have an idea. You can be talking to your friends, you may have an idea. But are you really gonna go out and go for it? Yeah. And this is the thing with this guy. He started what is, he already shared the story, what he went through. Boxing. Then when I opened the new gym, he was gone. He found a way to move closer, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you guys know.
Oh, yeah.
He found a way to move closer. That's what kind of dude he is.
Yeah.
He found a way to move closer.
Right.
And the camera thing was his idea. And mind you, like I said, he didn't know why it was blurry. But always remember, he was looking at the camera like it's life. Mm-hmm. He never knew why it was blurry until now.
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like when people go through it, you ask yourself, why me? Why me? Always remember, there's always a reason why you. You may never know until it happens. And after that, you ask yourself, now I know. So do you know why you?
Yeah, and people have, like I said, the few people I have shared my full story with and stuff like that, I tell them, I'm like, and because realistically, and this is why I do want to share stuff, I started drinking and doing other drugs and doing whatever when I was like 15 years old. I hung out with older kids, you know what I mean? Thought partying was like the way to do things and shit like that. And that's
what made you do that?
Just,
was it just you hanging around with the bad crowd? Was it, again,
yeah,
the list goes on, right?
Yeah, culture, environment, the people I surrounded myself with at the time, the things that I was influenced with, skateboard culture, things like that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that said, smoking weed and riding was cool. That's what you should be doing, And as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, I thought that was correct. You know what I mean? That's the shit that I was seeing online. I'm not blaming it all on that whatsoever. But what I'm saying is just starting to grow up too fast is what got me where I was at, And I tell people a lot, I'm like, man, if I could take it back, it would have saved me a lot of fucking pain. A lot of fucking pain in my life, a lot of things.
But in my eyes, again, my personal opinion, it's all, everything happens to you for a reason, right?
Absolutely.
And let me explain why. When I first met Matthew, he's not the guy that he is where we are today. If I would have met Matthew, he would not have this interview. No. He will not have the words to even come out and share his story. But this is what made me happy with Matthew. He pay attention. And I tell people all the time, boxing will change your life. Yeah. And let me explain why. Not everybody's going to go out and become a world champion. Not everybody's going to go out and have fights. Not everybody's going to go out and live that life. But what it can do, you learn from it, you take it, and you run with it outside the world, outside that door, outside the boxing gym. Perfect example, when he got caught, he got up. His life, he got caught, he got up. Yeah. A lot of people can't say that. He got up, he enjoyed it, and he's here to tell you the story of what happened to him. And that story is priceless because there's people out there, dude, that don't have the balls, don't have the vibe to even come out and be like, you know what, I have issues.
Yeah.
No one's perfect, right? We're not gonna sit down and be like, we're perfect or we're this. No. We all have demons. We all have issues. We all have whatever going through your head. Some people may show it. Some people not. Like this guy, I couldn't tell you he had issues. Just a regular guy, right? And when you see that, your story, there's a kid out there, there's a person out there that is going through it. Yeah, and they're afraid to open up because, oh, he may say this. Oh, he may judge me. But at the end of the day, all you're doing is judging yourself.
For sure.
I've learned over the 38 years being alive, the biggest key in the world, the biggest thing in you is your mind.